Husband's assistant texted him at the family reunion, "Missing your touch from this morning. Can't wait to replace your boring wife." As he gave his speech about family values, I calmly connected his phone to the events projector and Hay turned pale when The annual Patterson family reunion in Detroit was always a grand affair, but this year felt different. As I sat in the hotel's beautifully decorated conference room, gently rocking my 3-month-old daughter Jamie in my arms, I watched my husband Noah rehearsing his acceptance speech for the family's Legacy Award. The irony of him receiving an award for upholding family values wasn't lost on me, especially after what I discovered on his phone that morning. My name is Shannon, and at 31, I thought I had it all. A successful marriage, a beautiful baby, and a place in one of Detroit's most respected families. Noah was the golden boy of Patterson Industries, following in his father's footsteps as vice president of operations. Everyone praised us as the perfect couple, and I believed it too until his phone buzzed during breakfast. He'd left it on the hotel room's desk while showering, and I normally wouldn't have looked, but the preview notification caught my eye. "Missing you already. Last night was incredible." From someone named Kate P., executive assistant. With trembling hands and Jamie sleeping in her carrier, I'd opened his phone. His password was still our wedding date, something he'd apparently forgotten to change. What I found made my stomach turn. Hundreds of messages, photos, and even a planned trip to the Bahamas, all with Kate Parker, his new assistant. Now watching him practice his speech about family loyalty and traditional values, I felt an eerie calm settle over me. The conference room's AV system was already set up for his presentation, including a large projector screen and the hotel's state-of-the-art video conferencing system. As an IT project manager, I understood exactly how these systems worked. "Shannon dear," my mother-in-law Patricia called out, approaching with her perfectly coiffed hair and society smile. "Is everything ready for Noah's speech? This award means so much to the family." "Almost," I replied, adjusting Jamie's blanket. "Just need to check the technical setup one last time." Patricia beamed. "You're always so thorough. We're blessed to have you in the family." If she only knew what her precious son had been up to with his assistant, but she would soon enough. I'd noticed Kate's online status change to available on Noah's phone. Right on schedule. She was probably expecting their usual morning video call. I stood up, placing Jamie in her grandmother's eager arms. "Would you mind watching her for a moment? I need to help Noah with the presentation setup." The conference room buzzed with activity as extended family members took their seats. Noah's younger sister Nicole was adjusting the flowers on the podium, while his father Robert, CEO of Patterson Industries, reviewed his introduction speech. The irony of them all preparing to celebrate Noah's integrity wasn't lost on me. I approached the AV control panel, Jamie's soft coos still audible from where she sat with Patricia. "Just double-checking the connections," I told the hotel's technician with a smile, watching him finish the setup. My IT background made the next steps crystal clear. The system was ready for any incoming video calls to display automatically on the main screen. Noah's phone buzzed again in my hand. Another message from Kate. "Can't wait for our morning check-in, handsome. I have a surprise for you," smiley face. I looked up at my husband who was now greeting elderly relatives with that charming smile I'd once fallen for. He had no idea I'd seen their plans. How they'd discussed using his family connections to start their own company. How they'd laughed about me being too busy with the baby to notice anything. "5 minutes until we start," Robert announced, his voice carrying the authority of someone used to running board meetings. "Shannon, is everything set with the presentation?" "Almost perfect," I replied, keeping my voice steady. "Just need Noah's phone to connect for the slideshow." Noah walked over, straightening his tie. "Here you go, honey," he said, handing me his phone without a second thought. "You're always better with the technical stuff." I connected his phone to the system, knowing that Kate would be calling any minute for their morning meeting. The same morning meeting that had been happening every day at 10 a.m. while I was busy with pediatrician appointments and client calls. "Everyone, please take your seats," Patricia called out, still holding Jamie. "We're about to celebrate a very special member of the Patterson family." The lights dimmed slightly, and Noah took his place at the podium. Robert stepped up to begin his introduction, speaking about family legacy and the importance of moral character in business. I sat in the front row next to Patricia and Jamie, watching the small indicator light on the AV panel turn green. Kate was right on schedule. Her incoming video call would connect any second now. Noah cleared his throat, preparing to accept his award, completely unaware that his carefully constructed world was about to shatter. "The Patterson name has always stood for integrity," Robert was saying, his voice filled with pride. "And no one exemplifies our values better than my son, Noah." The large screen behind them suddenly flickered to life. Kate's face appeared, her blonde hair artfully tousled, wearing what was clearly not appropriate office attire. The entire room froze. "Hey, handsome," she purred, clearly not realizing she was broadcasting to a room full of people. "Missing you already." That quick meeting in your office this morning wasn't nearly enough. Noah's face drained of color. He spun around, finally seeing the screen, then turned back to stare at me in horror. I met his gaze steadily, bouncing Jamie gently on my knee. I thought we could discuss those plans to break away from your father's company, Kate continued, adjusting her camera. I've already started reaching out to some of Patterson Industries' clients. They're very interested in what we have to offer. Patricia's hand flew to her mouth. Robert's expression hardened as he heard his company's name. The room was dead silent except for Kate's voice and Jamie's quiet coos. Your wife's obviously too busy with the baby to notice anything, Kate laughed. And once we get your family's main investors on board? Kate, stop. Noah finally managed to croak out. She froze, finally noticing the background behind him. Her eyes widened as she took in the conference room, the family members, and me sitting calmly in the front row with his daughter. Oh my God, she whispered, her face turning pale. The screen went black as she disconnected. Robert was the first to break the silence. Son, he said, his voice cold. My office. Now. Shannon, I can explain, Noah started, but I cut him off. I think Kate explained everything quite clearly, I said, keeping my voice level. Though I'm sure the board will be interested in hearing more about your plans to steal company clients. Patricia was crying silently, still clutching Jamie's diaper bag. Around us, family members were whispering. Phones were being pulled out, and decades of Patterson reputation were crumbling in real time. I stood up, gathering Jamie's things. I'll have my lawyer contact you, I told Noah, who seemed to have aged 10 years in the past 5 minutes. I'm sure you understand I'll be seeking full custody. As I walked out of the conference room, Jamie secure in my arms, I heard Robert addressing the stunned family members. I apologize for this unfortunate situation. The Legacy Award ceremony is clearly postponed. I didn't look back. Sometimes karma doesn't need any help. It just needs the right stage to reveal the truth. The next 48 hours passed in a whirlwind of activity. I moved into a suite at a different hotel with Jamie, ignoring the constant stream of calls and messages from Noah. By Monday morning, the incident had already sent shockwaves through Detroit's business community. I sat in my lawyer's office, Jamie sleeping peacefully in her carrier, as Jessica Anderson laid out our strategy. Patterson Industries board has called an emergency meeting, she said, shuffling through documents. Apparently, several clients have already come forward, confirming that Kate Parker approached them about moving their business to a new venture. Which means Noah wasn't just cheating on me, I replied, keeping my voice low to avoid waking Jamie. He was actively plotting corporate espionage. Jessica nodded. Robert Patterson called. He wants to meet with you privately before the board meeting. I wasn't surprised. Robert had built Patterson Industries from the ground up, turning it into one of Detroit's most respected companies. The scandal wasn't just a family matter anymore. It threatened the business itself. An hour later, I sat across from Robert in his corner office, Jamie still sleeping soundly beside me. The city skyline stretched out behind him, a view Noah had once hoped would be his. Shannon, Robert began, looking older than I'd ever seen him. First, I want to apologize. What Noah and that woman did is unforgivable, both to you and to this company. I nodded, waiting. Robert hadn't built an empire by being sentimental. We've frozen Noah's accounts and access, he continued. Kate Parker has been terminated, and our legal team is preparing action against both of them. But we have another issue to discuss. He slid a folder across his desk. Inside were details of several major client accounts, ones I'd helped secure through my IT consulting work. These clients are threatening to leave, Robert said, not because of the scandal, but because you were their primary technical contact. They trust you. I had worked with many of Patterson Industries' clients, modernizing their systems while Noah took the credit. The irony wasn't lost on me. What are you proposing? I asked, although I already had an idea. We'd like to offer you a position as Chief Technology Officer, Robert replied. The board agrees we need someone with your expertise, especially now. Your integrity and skills are exactly what this company needs to move forward. I glanced at Jamie, thinking about her future. And Noah? His shares will be bought out at minimum value per the company bylaws regarding ethical violations. He'll be lucky if he avoids criminal charges for attempting to steal trade secrets. Robert's expression hardened. The Patterson name stands for something in this city. He forgot that. You never did. Jamie stirred in her carrier, and I gently rocked her back to sleep. The position Robert was offering would mean security for her future, but it was more than that. It was a chance to build something meaningful from the ashes of Noah's betrayal. I'll need to review the contract with my lawyer, I said finally, and I want a seat on the board. Robert smiled for the first time since the reunion. Already included. We're not losing you to another company, Shannon. Unlike my son, I recognize true value when I see it. The news broke in the Detroit Business Journal the following morning. Patterson Industries announces new CTO amid family scandal. The article was diplomatic but clear. Noah's attempted corporate espionage had failed, and the company was emerging stronger under new leadership. I was reviewing resumes for my technical team when Nicole, Noah's sister, appeared in my new office doorway. She looked uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot. "I just saw Noah in the lobby," she said. "He's trying to get past security. Says he needs to talk to Dad about his shares." I continued scanning the resume in front of me. "That's not my concern anymore. Security has their instructions." Nicole moved closer, glancing at Jamie sleeping in her portable crib near my desk. "He looks terrible, Shannon. Kate apparently took off with most of their money. The Bahamas trip they planned. She went without him, emptied their joint account." "Karma works in interesting ways," I replied, making a note on a promising candidate's application. "Did you need something specific, Nicole?" "I have a board meeting in 30 minutes. She sank into the chair across from me. I can't believe he threw everything away. The family name, his marriage, his relationship with Jamie." A commotion in the hallway interrupted her. Noah's voice carried through the open door. "I have every right to be here. That's my family's company." I pressed the intercom. "Security, please escort Mr. Patterson from the building. And Nicole," I turned to my former sister-in-law, "you might want to remind your brother that his restraining order covers this office." Nicole nodded sadly and left. Through my window, I watched Noah being led to the parking lot, his once immaculate suit wrinkled, his golden boy confidence shattered. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica, my lawyer. "Kate Parker spotted in Miami. Local authorities notified regarding the corporate theft charges." I muted the phone as Robert walked in, carrying a stack of files. "Ready for the board meeting? We're announcing the new cybersecurity division today." "Just finished reviewing candidates for the team," I replied, gathering my materials. "Also, Noah was here." Robert's expression darkened. "I saw. The board's voting on officially removing him as a shareholder this afternoon. His little scheme with Miss Parker violated every clause in his contract." As we walked to the boardroom, employees nodded respectfully. Many were my new hires, young tech professionals eager to help modernize Patterson Industries. In just 3 weeks, we'd launched 2 new digital initiatives that had already attracted major clients. "Shannon." Robert paused outside the boardroom. "I know this can't be easy, running into Noah like that. If you need time," I adjusted Jamie's carrier on my arm. "What I need is to focus on moving this company forward. Noah and Kate's drama isn't my concern anymore." Inside, the board members were already seated. These were the same people who used to dismiss me as just Noah's wife. Now they looked to me for leadership. "Let's begin," I said, taking my seat at the table. "We have a company to run." The quarterly investors meeting fell exactly 1 month after the family reunion incident. I stood at the podium presenting our new technology initiatives to a packed conference room, the same room where Noah's deception had been exposed. "Our cybersecurity division has already secured contracts with 3 major financial institutions," I explained, gesturing to the growth charts behind me. "Patterson Industries is positioned to become a leader in financial technology protection." In the back of the room, a television played silently, tuned to a local news channel. I noticed a few board members glancing at it during my presentation, and when I turned to change slides, I saw why. Kate Parker's face was on the screen, being led into a Miami courthouse in handcuffs. Without missing a beat, I continued my presentation. "Our second quarter projections show a 40% increase in tech sector revenue." Later in my office, Robert filled me in on the details. "She tried to sell proprietary information to one of our competitors. Unfortunately for her, they have more integrity than she does. They contacted us immediately." "And Noah?" I asked, organizing reports on my desk while Jamie played with her toys in her corner of the office. Still claiming he knew nothing about her attempts to steal company secrets, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Robert handed me a folder. "The FBI found these in Kate's apartment." Inside were detailed notes about Patterson Industries clients, including information that only Noah would have had access to. There were also emails outlining their plan to start a competing company using stolen data and connections. "The board's lawyers estimate he's looking at significant legal consequences," Robert continued, "both civil and criminal." I closed the folder. "That's not my concern anymore. Have you seen the proposal from the tech startup in Singapore?" Before Robert could respond, my assistant stepped in. "Mrs. Patterson." She caught herself. "Miss Kennedy, sorry. The developers are ready for the new system test." "Thank you, Evelyn." I stood up gathering my tablet. "Robert, we can discuss Singapore over dinner. Patricia's still coming to watch Jamie, right?" He nodded, smiling at his granddaughter. "She's the only good thing that came from all this." As I headed to the development floor, I passed the wall of company photos. The old one showing Noah and me at last year's charity gala had been replaced with a new image. Me speaking at a tech conference announcing Patterson Industries' digital transformation initiative. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Former executive assistant pleads guilty to corporate espionage. Faces up to 15 years. Below it was another message. This one from Noah's lawyer attempting yet again to negotiate terms for his shares. I archived both notifications without reading further. The development team was waiting, and we had actual work to do. The company's future wasn't going to build itself. Okay, team, I said, entering the conference room filled with eager young developers. Show me what you've got. 1 year after the family reunion incident, I stood in my office overlooking downtown Detroit, Jamie playing with blocks at her little desk beside mine. At 2 years old, she was already showing signs of her mother's technical aptitude, stacking her blocks in patterns and sequences. The morning's Detroit Business Journal sat on my desk. Patterson Industries reports record growth under new leadership. The article highlighted our successful expansion into cybersecurity and international markets with our Singapore office exceeding all projections. My phone buzzed with a message from Jessica, my lawyer. Noah's final appeal denied. Full custody remains with you. His prison sentence starts next month. I set the phone aside, turning my attention to more important matters. Our development team was putting the finishing touches on a revolutionary banking security system, and I had a board meeting to prepare for. Miss Kennedy, my assistant called from the doorway. The new tech team from Singapore is ready for their video conference. Thank you, Evelyn. I smiled at the irony. This was the same conference system that had exposed Noah and Kate's deception a year ago. Now it was being used to expand the company globally. Jamie looked up from her blocks, waving at the familiar faces appearing on screen. These were the people who mattered now. My team, my daughter, our future. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about moving forward and building something better than what you lost. The day Noah reported to prison, I was giving the keynote speech at Detroit's Women in Technology Summit. Standing at the podium, I looked out at the crowd of aspiring female tech leaders, many of them recent hires at Patterson Industries. Success isn't built on shortcuts or schemes, I told them, thinking of how differently things had turned out from what Noah and Kate had planned. It's built on innovation, integrity, and the courage to move forward when others try to hold you back. After the speech, while answering questions from young women eager to follow in my footsteps, I received a final update from Robert. Kate had been sentenced to 12 years for corporate espionage and fraud. The money she'd stolen was long gone, spent on luxury purchases in various tropical locations before her arrest. That evening, as I picked up Jamie from Patricia's house, my former mother-in-law hugged me tightly. "You've done more for the Patterson name than Noah ever did," she said, watching Jamie show off her new coding game on her tablet. "You turned our scandal into success." Driving home to our new house in the historic district, I thought about the past year. Patterson Industries had doubled in value under my leadership. Our cybersecurity division was revolutionizing the industry, and Jamie was growing up in an environment that valued integrity over appearances. Sometimes life's biggest betrayals lead to its greatest opportunities. You just have to be strong enough to walk through the fire, and wise enough to build something better from the ashes.